Hey there, business owners, directors, and marketeers. I am very happy to welcome Lucy Literado from Reply. And, without further ado, I really just want to jump in and ask you a couple of questions. Hey, Lucy, how you doing?
Hi, Lucas. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Very cool. So you're the VP of Marketing for Reply. So tell us maybe a little bit about the company. What is it all about?
Sure. So Replio started about 5 years ago. We were a small outreach tool, and now we're the whole sales engagement platform. We help automate personal email outreach, calls, tasks, everything to let salespeople focus on sales.
Yeah, very cool. And who would be the types of sales teams that would be benefiting from this the most? What would be a typical customer? Is that like software companies? Is that individuals? Would you describe the customer base?
Sure. It's mostly sales teams and SDR teams as well from industries like software as a service, marketing, advertising. We also have a lot of customers from recruiting agencies and sometimes real unusual businesses like online radios or worldwide conferences. So it can vary.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually had a look myself personally into the tool, and I find it has a very good user experience. And what I personally loved about the tool was that there is a nice task list that is being created from all of the cadences that are being or sequences that somebody's sending out. So you guys did a really great job there on the product. Um,
Thank you.
I'm curious, the guys that you mentioned, the sales teams from the different software as a service companies and others, how do they actually, find you guys? What would be the typical ways that they would be, going through the journey of discovering Reply and eventually starting?
Sure. I guess our number one channel is organic search. That means they find us through Google,
Mhm.
searching for relative terms or articles or data. I guess that we also have other important channels like paid search campaigns and referral channel.
Gotcha. Okay, so you have a whole suite there of things going on. And
Yeah.
you being in marketing and then probably working together with sales, I want to maybe jump a little bit more into the depth of your position in marketing. Um, are you even thinking about qualification of leads from the website? What's your take on that? Because we had a couple of guys on the show and girls who put together, quite some qualification, setup, leads going, and so on and so forth. What's your take on that?
Sure. If we talk about website visitors only, there are a lot of challenges in qualifying those because basically we have a trouble of mislabeled traffic as any other website that uses Google Analytics has. We also have a challenge when qualifying website visitors to define not whether he or she matches our ideal customer profile, but whether they really need a product like ours.
Mm.
So they may seem perfect by all the criteria, but they don't seem to be looking at something like this, or they're not looking to switch. They're just, exploring their options.
Mm.
I guess that's the most challenging thing about it, that you cannot actually read people's mind. But for all the other stuff, you have marketing technology as well as PathMonk, which we're willing to try as well, and a lot of other things that we're trying to make sure we have as much understanding of what's happening to the visitors as we can.
Gotcha. And how are you thinking about, because I think in your case this is also very interesting and it has been coming up quite a bit, the idea of your trial versus your demo. And some people have been very intentionally putting one of them on the forefront on the website. Both is possible on the Reply.io side. So how are you thinking about having the demo and the trial on the website?
I think that those two paths are actually for two types of customers that come to us. So if you're looking for just a trial, you might be the decision maker that likes to do everything on their own, to explore the tool, to see our nurturing sequences.
Mhm.
It comes along when you register for a trial, to maybe see what features do we have yourself. And the demo tool is more for customers that don't have either time or wish to explore around the tool, and they need it straight to their faces, like really explain everything that we have to offer them. I guess it's not even like the type of companies, it's just the type of people. There are just different ones who love interacting with others and love to know everything at once, and those who just like to do this by their own.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. And how close would you be working with the sales teams? And as we had just had somebody from Vanilla Soft on the show last week. When I'm saying last week, guys who are listening, in the future, this is going to go live, obviously. So last week while we're recording. And he was explaining quite a bit about the relationship between marketing and sales and how important it is to optimize each of the two workflows. Could you tell us a little bit about how you're working there with sales in order to provide, high quality leads, I'm assuming, through the site?
Sure. Well, at first we have occasional, like all marketing and sales team calls where we share the information. We also have the internal documentation on Slide, and we have regular weekly reports where we can see what our sales team is doing and what our marketing team is doing. So basically, we try to keep as close as it's possible and to make sure neither team is doing what other team is doing.
Gotcha.
And it's also all about sales and marketing alignment, which we're working on. I don't think it could be perfect in any company, but we're trying to make it better each and every year.
Gotcha. Makes complete sense. Interesting. So I think we spoke already about a couple of sort of sections now on your role. We spoke about qualification. We spoke about how you're working together with sales. Obviously, being from PathMonk, I would be so curious how you're thinking about conversions and conversion optimization. Is that something that you guys are like actively doing? Is that maybe you have a war story to share how you were able to, increase demos or increase trials?
Sure. Conversion optimization is something that we have started doing recently because we felt the need to really change our focus to it. I guess that it's something that every company should be doing, as usual ways of getting the customers are getting tougher and tougher every year. The cost per conversion is increasing, and the rightest thing that you could do about it is basically to look for some untapped sources for conversion and to optimize the ones that you already have. So we do have experiments that we have on different pages on the websites. We do have some explorations with other types of nurturing campaigns that we have with the different paths that our customers take. And I guess we've been only doing this for a year or so. So there's a lot more that could be done, but I think we're on the right way.
Very cool. It's very nice to hear that you guys putting in a really, really strong focus on this. What's something that you learned in this year about conversion optimization that you found maybe surprising or new? Or
I guess that you can never predict the result. Like, even if you're in the room with top conversion specialists in the world, they can maybe predict 60% of it. And all the other results are like very, very unpredictable and unexpected. So you should always test before you just think that this idea is not worth it.
Makes a lot of sense. And maybe a small thing from your experience, because now you were working about a year on conversion optimization, maybe for other marketeers out there that work in similar companies to yours, who would be the types of folks, teams, and members of which teams did you had to bring in the room? Do you work close with, engineering? What's the setup looking like in order to be doing efficiently conversion rate optimization in your case?
Sure. I know a lot of companies have their own growth teams, and maybe in one day we will have our own growth team. But right now we use the marketing team that we have because we have an analyst there, a developer, a designer, and a lot of marketers. We actually makes a great growth team. We just call it marketing one. So basically all those people help us set up and run experiments, and that's enough for us at this stage. But I guess we should be hiring more when we decide to scale it up a bit.
Very nice. And how would you keep, from an analytical standpoint, how do you keep an overview? Are you then later sort of leaning in Google Analytics, or how would you describe the stack of, keeping an overview of all the experiments, all the A/B testing that is running potentially, and all the improvements?
Sure. We actually use Google Optimize for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the tool that our analyst suggested, and it's working great for us. I know there are a lot of them out there, and we even tried a couple of ones, but I guess it's just the first one that we tried, and it was okay, so we thought, why not?
Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. Very cool. Yeah, I really appreciate that you were sharing some very interesting insights on how you guys are working. I would love to switch context a little bit and just learn about you as a person in the team and your professional career a little bit. Maybe you could tell us and the listeners a little bit, how would you describe the goal of your role? Like, is that a certain metric? Is that, a certain vision that you're following? How would you describe that?
Sure. So we do have something that looks like a North Star metric in our company.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we, embraced it fully. We're just starting to get something like this, but I think it's really important to have one metrics that all the departments should observe and then extrapolate from this metrics into your own. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we have a total goal of current active customers, which extrapolates to the number of signups, then the number of leads, then the number of visitors, and so on and so forth, plus the churn rate. So we can really set goals. And I think my role as the marketing department head is to actually plan the strategy for each quarter and sometimes yearly with my colleague.
Yeah.
To make sure that we are on the way of reaching those goals and we can measure the indicators at any given point of the way.
Very good. That sounds really organized, like basically going down the funnel of the different metrics, and then you
Oh, to be honest, we do have a bit of chaos, so it's not that organized, but we're trying to.
Nice. I appreciate the honesty there. Very cool. So other maybe younger marketeers who would be also listening in, are always wondering, or very often we get actually that question, sort of like, what is, the places where somebody like you has been educating yourself? And maybe you can share like a little bit about, the platforms where you are educating yourself, books, podcasts, whatever it is, and maybe a topic that you recently researched yourself, so that somebody maybe can step into the shoes a little bit.
Sure. I would say I'm a mostly self-educated marketer.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess one of the best sources out there would be, things like growth hackers.
Mm-hmm.
When you have all the best resources of the internet in one place.
Mm-hmm.
I always was searching for new resources, so I read a lot of blogs on a constant basis, like Prove HQ blog, Intercom blog, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
companies that I really admire.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that finding a mentor also helps.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find mine in the time that I needed the person, but I managed to actually find it in my CEO that who was very helpful at the time that I started at Reply and just, handed me lots of useful marketing information. So he became kind of a mentor for me.
Cool.
So I think it's really important to have a team that helps you learn. And of course, there are a lot of courses, both free and paid, and conferences, also both free and paid webinars. If you only want to really educate yourself, there's so much data out there that you can really choose the ones that suits you. For example, I would say that if you want to know about SEO, then you should go to Ahrefs blog or Moz blog or Backlinko blog. If you want to know more about conversions, you should go to Conversion Excel blog. They have really great information out there. If you're about company growth, then go to Prove HQ blog, to their startup journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's just marvelous.
Very cool. I think there's a lot of hands-on tips that you gave there. What would be the last topic that you really sort of bit your teeth in and really did a deep dive? What is maybe something that you were Googling yourself?
I guess, like recently I've been into some operational tasks because I suddenly found that it's very interesting for me, which was a bit unexpected. So I'm learning about those. It seems like, conversion optimization, but not just within the marketing department or within the leads, but for the whole company.
Mm-hmm.
If you know a way to optimize the processes in like other departments or in the intra-departmental interaction, then you should do it. So it's something about operational optimization that I like recently.
Very cool. Sounds really good. Okay, so that's cool. We learned a lot about the product. We learned about, the types of clients. We know now what Reply.io is really for and who's benefiting. We know a little bit about how you're thinking about growth. To wrap up the interview, I would have our rapid fire questions for you, if that would be okay. They're more harmless than they're sounding. So feel free to answer with like one word, one sentence. I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, are you ready?
I hope.
Very good. So for your company, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word marketing operations?
Evolving, always evolving.
Very cool. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word sales operations?
I guess it's smart persistence without too much persistence.
Gotcha. What is one single thing that you are focused on in your company the most?
Optimizing.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed today for your company?
Oh, I would totally want to fix the analysis paralysis issue.
Okay, very cool. Very good. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about your company?
I guess how to keep our growth rate while becoming a bigger company.
And now the very, very last rapid fire question. So you're nearly already through that. What is one advice that you would give yourself if you would join Reply.io today and restart your position?
I would say be braver with your expectations and still be more patient with your results.
I like that. I like that it's both sides of the equation. Being more brave, trying more, but also being patient with what potential outcome can be. I think it's a really good and useful advice. Lucy, I really appreciate that you took the time for this episode today and shared your insights. I hope you had a bit of fun as well. Thanks for being part of the show today.
Thank you, Lucas. It really was a lot of fun, and thank you very much for having me.